Good morning, everybody, and welcome this morning to Your Voice, an open Q&A with Whitey. And if you haven't guessed it, that's me. I hope you've got your cup of coffee ready to go. It's morning tea time. Have your cup of coffee ready. And every week, my wonderful, wonderful wife cooks me something new, whether it's muffins, cakes, whatever. And I keep chipping her to remind her I'm a diabetic. I shouldn't be drinking or having all these sugars, eating all these sugars. So what do I get today? Couple of cookies shoved on the plate. That'll teach me to be a smart aleck. There you go. It's all good. My wife is a wonderful person. There you go. I guess I shouldn't say any more about her cooking prowess and my health matters. I'll let that go in future. All right. We're going to have some great conversations this morning with our guests. But before we get to that, I just do want to thank our sponsors who support the FBAA and support all our initiatives and what we're doing. To people like ALI, Bluestone, Finstro, Prosper, Len, Suncorp, On Deck, Pepper Money, AAMC, Strive Financial, Insurance Advisor Net, Credit Fix Solution, and Trail Book Loans. All wonderful, wonderful companies backed by wonderful, lovely people, and we can't thank them enough for their support. Well, let's get on to this morning, because today our guests are a group of people that I've called alternative lenders, and you may not get to hear from these people too often, and they have some interesting niche plays in the market. And the important thing to remember is that before you deal with anyone, make sure that's okay with your aggregator, whether they're on panel or you've got the principal available within the agreements with your aggregator that you can work off panel, whatever it may be. Make sure you work within the guys with aggregators, but we're going to have some fantastic conversations with these people. Again, these are all lovely folk who've well experienced in what they're doing, and let's get ready to have some fun and some great conversation with them. So welcome to our guests this morning. Please come online with your cameras and your microphones and give us a bit of a wave. I see Mick there from Mortgage Easy, and Greg, and who else is coming? Everybody's coming online, so we should have Sharon as well, and George, Tanya. I think we've got everybody there. Welcome. We'll get rid of the screen that's there, or the presentation slide, and let's have a chat about what's happening in the world of your particular lending spaces. What I want to do first, though, is see if you can give me a 30 to 60 second max quick snapshot of who you are, how long you've been in the industry, what's your journey been, so what's your background, and what it is that what the company is that you're representing, and then we'll play with a few questions and go from there. We do have quite a few questions that have come in from viewers today, and I think there's somewhere around 150 brokers watching this morning, so we've got a few questions. We'll get through those as well as some others, and then we'll wrap up from there. So our hour's going to go past really quickly this morning. So let's get into it. Enough from me. So I'm going to go around my screen as I said. So Mick, do you want to give us that quick 60-second snapshot of who you are, how long you've been in the game? I think you've only been here 2 seconds. I think I've known you a lot longer than that. And who you're representing there. Give us a good oil, my friend.
Yeah, mate, as you and I, a bit scary, we've known each other over 20 years. I started when I was 5, obviously, at this age. From there, so look, I came into the industry initially as working up through the banking game. Probably after about 11 and a half years, went to the, as some say, the dark side of the world, to non-bank lending. And I've been sitting in that world ever since and loving it. So, and for the last 15 years of that, working with Mortgage Easy, mate.
Mortgagee, excellent. Yeah, it was there with Tongue Cheek. Mick and I go back, yeah, it's got to be over 20 years now, I think, somewhere. And yeah, the good old days. Yeah, mate, thanks very much for joining us this morning. Greg, give us the good oil of your background and what you're doing these days.
Thanks, Whitey. Yeah, so I started my career with GE, so General Electric, before it got brought out by Latitude. I started in 2000. So I've been in the finance industry as well, same as me, 20 odd years. I just look a little younger, well, I hope I do anyway, than me. I've moved through asset in done mortgages, and my current position is head of broker, Society One, which is back in the personal loan space.
Excellent. Yeah, we've had a fair bit to do with Society One from the very early days. So it's great to have you with us. Tanya, tell us a bit about your background, to where you've come from to what you're doing now with Speedy.
So just like Greg, I started at GE. Greg was actually my manager at one stage there. So back in 2003 was when I started in the industry, so I'm getting quite long in the tooth as well.
Well, that wasn't planned. I didn't know that. So there you go. I've learned something as well. So it wasn't constructed to be that way.
So from GE, I moved into a broker's office, and we've worked in this third-party area now since 2006, I suppose. And most people would know me from my most recent role, previous role at Bluestone as the Queensland BDM, and prior to that AFM, and now here in the national role at Speedy to get them into the third-party distribution, because it's not something that they've really touched before. So I'm really excited, actually.
Excellent, excellent. And a lot of people may not know or realise this, but from my point of view, everyone I've met that's had a background in a GE, I had a background in AGC back in the late 80s, but don't tell anyone it was that long ago. But people have gone through that GE, that AVCO style of experience. I think have got some of the best training grounds to set the foundations for future. I mean, just the processes and training they went through, I think, was second to none. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. So yeah, excellent. Sharon, over to you. Tell us your story.
No worries, Peter. So I've been in the finance industry now since 2001, so for 19 years. I've always been in specialist lending, so I started at Latrobe Financial for a couple of years, and then I moved to Heartland Seniors Finance, where I am now. So I've been 16 years at Heartland in August, and I'm currently the head of operations.
Excellent. My comment about GE and those sort of backgrounds has had one of my staff members turn around and say, "Oh, thanks." I don't know if I'll say who that is, but they're taking a little bit of credit along the way. I must remind any of my employees watching, it is annual review time, so it's a good time to suck up. All right, thanks, Sharon. That's great. George, what about you? Give us your story, and you're an exciting space.
Yes, definitely. I've been around for 2 minutes. No, only joking. So 2004, I started off a mortgage house where, I was a bit younger back then, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do in my career. And my sister-in-law was in credit at mortgage house, and she goes, "Oh, you should see what these broker guys do, and you can come and work in credit." And I walked in there and loved it ever since. And I've been at Wide Bay for a little while, and then which is now Auswide, and I've moved over to St George Bank, where I was fortunate enough to get a BDM role at St George Bank, and then AFG. I spent 8.5 odd years at AFG representing New South Wales, and then here in this space, the 8600 digital space. So it's been a good journey so far.
Excellent, excellent. And look, the reason why I ask this, I think it's really important to understand the depth of knowledge and experience we have with the people that we're talking to, and especially today. There's a very good reason why I ask certain people to come and join me, because I love the knowledge that we can share and talk about with this industry based on your knowledge and what you're doing and the depth that is. That's fantastic. Thanks, George. Whilst I'm with you, mate, how has 86400 gone during the COVID period? Has it changed anything for you guys, or has it just been business as usual? What's that been like? Because it's not an easy period. I mean, I'm old enough and ugly enough to have gone through many recessions and GFCs, and I've lost count the amount of recessions I've been through. Yeah. Mick's probably been through more than I have.
Good question. So what's been now 13, 14 weeks since Sydney was locked down. I don't know the exact date. You can see behind me, I am in the city, and this has probably been the first or second time that I've ventured into the city away from home. In as long as I can remember. The trains were very, very empty this morning, but we've operated business as usual. In fact, I think productivity in terms of the way teams communicate. Look at today, for example. We've got lots and lots of brokers online, a webinar with a cup of coffee in hand, and we're able to have a conversation. Pre-COVID, this probably wouldn't have been quite normal. Post-COVID, I think it's going to be a blend between face-to-face, because I honestly believe nothing will replicate, especially from a BDM team that potentially could be on here, nothing will replicate a face-to-face integration in building trust and rapport, but we can do a blend of the two moving forward and get in front of a lot more brokers and let them know what we're about.
Yeah, mate, I agree with you on that.
Quickly, to answer your question quickly, it's nothing changed. In fact, we've operated an entire bank. We've approved home loans, onboarded customers, business as usual, all from home.
Excellent, excellent. And as you can see, we're still in work from home mode. We're not in any rush to get our staff back to the office, and it sounds like you as well. Our KPI measurements are off the dial at the moment, so I'm quite happy for the staff to work from home. Even though I was completely against it historically. I thought it was the world's worst idea. I'm like a reformed smoker now. So, there's going to be penalties for that, I think. Sharon, how about yourselves? How have you gone through this time?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's been quite tough. We're in Melbourne, so we're still under lockdown. But look, we still have customers coming to us to need help. And in terms of our team, it's very much still business as usual. We went very quickly to a paperless office all of a sudden with everybody working from home. So something my senior manager has been wanting for a very long time suddenly happened, which was excellent. Nothing like a pandemic to make you more technologically advanced. And look, we've been moving to electronic documents. We've been looking at how we can do valuations, but it's still definitely business as usual in terms of supporting our customers. We've just been able to put some of the changes that we've been thinking about for a long time in place so we can have all the staff out of the office. So it's actually been really great.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's forced a lot of us to take steps that were either planned a long way out or were nervous about taking them in the first place. I think there's, out of something that's really bad, there's a lot of good also coming out of it as well. Tanya, how about yourselves at Speedy?
So I have only been with Speedy about 5 weeks, maybe 6. So prior to COVID, Speedy were predominantly a consumer lender. When COVID hit, it gave them a very good opportunity to look at the business model and go, how can we do this better? Let's change the way we do things. So they've basically taken the consumer out, and they've said, we're going to do business lending. And they've brought me online to get out to the broker network, because obviously the broker network have the best touch with the clients. They know their self-employed clients. They know what their needs are. So it made sense for Speedy to bring someone who has got the experience with the broker network. And we're just working now on getting out there, really. So they took COVID as a really good opportunity to just change the business model and look forward and be more forward thinking with what's happening.
Okay, cool. And Greg, how have you guys gone at Society One? Given again, you're a different structured styled model again, bar the space you're in, but also the underlying structure as to how Society One works. How have you guys gone through the period?
So from a Society One perspective, I think we've done well because we're a fintech company, so we're quite tech. We don't have a huge number of staff, so we're 70 odd in totality. So from that perspective, I think getting everybody to work from home was not a big challenge for us. The technology that we have was fairly advanced anyway, so I don't think it was a real challenge. So and the broker team, and that's my team, have been working from home probably since early March. So we really had no challenges in doing that. I think the couple of things that have changed for us though is the appetite to buy, because that's always challenging in this market, and considering the experiences they've been having nationally, but also globally, just understanding where people's jobs are at. We play in the consumer space, so there's a whole heap of validation that needs to carry on there. So we've had to put a bit more rigor in place. But from a business perspective, it's business as usual. Volume is a little bit more challenging. We have to be a bit more diligent in what we do, but we've come through it so far. And Sharon, I've got to say, I'm glad I'm not in Melbourne. I am happy I'm currently in Sydney with what's going on at the moment. But I do think though that the whole working from home piece is will change the landscape moving forward to what you mentioned before, Whitey, which I think is actually a thing for us.
And was there any, I was going to say challenges, but how'd you go with the investors as a peer-to-peer lender? How'd you go with that, the investors that sit underneath that? Was that all fairly smooth? I mean, it was and it's not a negative comment, it's such a difficult time through these sorts of things.
Yeah, so we really have two stakeholders that we need to worry about. We have the consumer who wants to buy from us, but you also have the investor who invests in us. So from our perspective, I think it's just making sure that we have the balance of understanding the appetite the investor wants to play in at this point in time during this lockdown period, and what that looks like for the the consumer lending portfolio. So yeah, we had a bit more rigor around what we did and tightened up on a few areas, but it was quite good. But it felt quite seamless from sitting in my chair, which was nice, because sometimes
that's excellent.
Becomes a bit clunky. So but happy with that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great to see. It's good to have the confidence of your investors that are behind you stay strong and stay with you on the journey, because it's like I said, I've been through many comparable in one respect, although they're very different experiences with GFCs and recessions. This has been unique. So it's one of those things where we've all got to bandy together and work with each other to keep everything moving forward. And love that T-shirt, by the way, mate. XL. That's all there is. Mick, how do you guys go?
Yeah, I wouldn't inflict me wearing a T-shirt on anyone at all, so I'll stick to not wearing one from that perspective. Look, from our side, we've been extremely proud of our team. As a number of people are aware, we have operations in many across a number of countries, whether that be our Vietnam team, our Australian team, or our Manila team. We've had massive productivity gains across all of it. And like a number of people, including you, Whitey, some of it was questionable. Are someone going to work from home and all those sort of things? And are they going to be hanging the washing out or going for a cup of coffee or doing the work? We've seen massive gains. So that side has been great. From a technology perspective and the benefit to our brokers, we've brought along doing digital, and so many things are digital now. So digital signatures all the way from application through to settling documents. So the experience at a broker's level has actually improved substantially here, where things were on the table prior that were being discussed were brought forward because of it. So it's really had a heap of efficiency. So I can't be any prouder of the team, to be very honest.
Yeah, mate, I'm going to echo those sentiments. And looking at the FBAA, I'm exactly the same. I could not be prouder of how our staff have stepped up to this. We pushed them instantly all out to work from home, and it was a new environment. And the way everybody's just rallied to the cause as such has been nothing less than sensational. And I think it's a great testament to the Aussie ethos, if you like, and to our industry. And of course, we just had the best interest duty RG come out yesterday. So that then starts to, even though we know we're on a journey to a January 21 start date, but it starts to sharpen all that, and we'll knock that around easy, from an industry point of view. And I actually personally see, and I've got a communication on our way out to our members at the moment, that these are the beginning steps of our industry moving towards a 70 and potentially 80% market share of originated loans in this country. In the UK, we're already at that. They're at that mark already at 70+%. So, I just love this industry, and I love the country we're in because of that underlying ethos of we're just going to make it happen. Even if people throw things at us, left, right, and centre, we're just going to punch through it and we'll get it right. I guess I'll ask that question, Pato, I hadn't planned to, but I'll ask that question just around the group, and I'll come back to you, Mick, is how do you see best interest duty playing out? And you think that's going to roll fairly fine? Yeah,
look, I actually see it as a great thing from our perspective as a lender. We're an A to Z lender where we offer a number of solutions, whether that be full docs at 259 all the way through to low docs and SMSF lending. What it means is that brokers have one application form with a series of options available to them. So using a best interest, we're now seeing a number of people who didn't have us on panel now actually coming to us and saying, hey, we need to make sure Mortgage Easy is an option on our panel because we know that we've got to offer best interest. So it's actually been a great move from our perspective. And by having a one-size-fits-all option with a series of funding lines, I actually think it plays well for the non-bank sector from our perspective. So really happy with it. And brokers are doing the right things and clients understand that and get that. And I think when brokers see and clients see the benefits that a broker's offering, they buy that broker. And that broker is going to provide the service. So look, I think it's more power to the broker under this world and more power to the non-bank lenders to actually offer it to the market under bid.
Yeah, I have been waiting forever for a massive resurgence since the GFC of the non-bank sector, that alternative lending space. And Mick, you know, I've played in it for a long time. In 1993, I set up Rams Home Loans' first sales office. So I am the biggest supporter of this country of that non-bank sector. And I know the GFC crapped in everybody's nest, but you know, we need to move on well and truly from that and really put our money behind you guys. You know, and not be beholden to the major banks. Sorry, I'm never their biggest advocate on a good day, but you know, it's all about choice. That's why brokers, you know, brokers are entrepreneurs, they're business people, and you're business people because you want to have choice in your destiny and your decision making point of view. So I hate anybody trying to handcuff me with those decisions. So people, make sure you're looking broader. This is what this is all about today. Greg, how about yourselves? Yeah, what's your thoughts around bid? Now, obviously, yeah, the best interest duty is focused on mortgage broking, but it can impact a lot of brokers because of the way the definitions within the actual act has been defined as what a mortgage broker is. And what's your thoughts around bid anyhow, just generally? You've got plenty of experience in this area. What are your thoughts?
So there's a couple of pieces there. So I think I've spoken to mortgage aggregators that the society want to deal with. And what I actually like hearing is that brokers are doing this today. And this is more documentation to say, we want you to do this. And the nice thing is that I don't think it's going to be out of the realms of what they're actually currently doing. It's just more, here we have some rigor. This is the preferred method. This is where we would like you to head. So for me, that gives a whole level of comfort. And that's why I think the broker piece is really important to, you know, the whole nation and how we function today. From a society perspective, we're a fintech company. There's a number of personal loan lenders out there who have the ability to do a soft touch and take an application, get information, and quote the customer without damaging anyone's credit rating or hurting their credit file or lowering their credit score, and actually quote people, which is in essence what, you know, customers are after. Do they then normally worrying up and go, I want to borrow this amount of money? What's my interest rate? How much are my payments? And we shouldn't be doing someone's credit file to be able to do that. So Society One has that ability. There's a number of other lenders out there that do the same as us, but there's lenders who do exist today who don't have that facility. And that's probably the burn that I have, is I go, well, you don't have to damage that customer's credit file just to get them an interest rate. You know, with technology exists today, but for the best interest duty piece, well, then all the brokers can now quote with comfort without hurting anyone's credit file and give the customer the choice. Although a lot of people I talk to, they do that now. So they're just mindful on who they go to, depending on the technology that the company has. So for Society One, we have a soft, which is great. But for the companies who don't, you have to be very quietly confident that it's actually going to get approved because it's an inquiry on your credit file, which makes a difference to your credit score, potentially will lower it, which makes it harder if you get declined through that lender, to go to another lender. So. But in essence, Whitey, I actually think that brokers are doing this today. This is just some documented procedure now that, you know, will just say, hey, this is the way we want you to do business, not rather than as a choice.
Excellent, excellent. What are your thoughts around bid, Tanya?
As you already have touched on, it's a really good opportunity for the alternate lenders and the non-bank lenders to get their product out there, and brokers now. And I mean, you guys have been speaking about it for a long time. They need to start diversifying their businesses. So bid is going to almost force them to start doing that by looking at other options and different alternatives to just your standard residential mortgage. So I'm really excited. I think, and a lot of the aggregators are already implementing stuff now. So the brokers are starting to talk, and this is such a great industry where the brokers aren't afraid to ask other brokers for advice and for help, and so that experience is really starting to spread across the whole network. And yeah, I'm looking forward to watching what happens next.
Excellent. How about you, Sharon? And obviously you're in a specialised space as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to agree with Mick and Tanya and Greg as well. I think it's a great opportunity, for brokers and for aggregators to kind of add some additional specialist lenders to the panel. I mean, we're quite specialist. We just deal with seniors and with reverse mortgages, and we've dealt with brokers for a really long time. But the best interest duty really just gives another promotion of specialist lending and non-bank lenders, because of the opportunities available to the products being offered by the brokers to diversify their business. I mean, when you look at COVID-19 and the things that are happening in society at the moment, a lot of people need help, and they need help with finance. And, and it's really the brokers are out there helping those customers, and just to have the broadest range of products available to offer to them, I just think is such a great thing, and that it's promoted in the best interest duty is just such a great thing for every one of our businesses, because it's just showing how well we can all work together.
Yeah, excellent. How about you, George?
I don't have much more to add except on what's already been covered off. But Peter, I agree with you. It's going to bring up broker market share up to that next level in terms of professionalism and everything. So I see nothing but a positive.
Yeah, well, mate, I'll stick with you for a moment, because I've had a question come in, but it's almost a wonderful unplanned segue off Sharon's comment, to be honest with you. So somebody who's watching has asked a question to come through to ask the panel. Now, I will be careful when I phrase this, because I don't want you to give away any confidential information in your response. So this will be just a generic response, and you'll understand why I say this in a sec. One of the things that was a part of the best interest duty discussion was panels, and it was very important to ASIC that brokers had the opportunity to a diverse amount of lenders. One of the problems we had with it in the drafting was that when you write legislation and it becomes law, it's applicable to everyone. So you've got to cut, regardless of what you do or don't do, for everyone that's captured by it, it has to it has to be applicable and be able to be applied to everyone in it. So that's why quite often legislation is not prescriptive, because it's got to be broad. But one of the things that came out was panel sizes with aggregators, and we went in very strongly. So, well, that's all well and good, but you can't, because the language is ambiguous at the time. You can't enforce a broker necessarily to have a minimum number of lenders on their panel, even though we probably would like to, so that we make sure that people have that capability of choice. But if I'm a specialist, say in Sharia lending, as an example, there may be only 2 lenders. Or if I'm in the seniors mortgage area, the reverse mortgage lending, they might only be 4 in the country. So you can't mandate me to have a minimum panel of 6 or 10 lenders on my panel as a broker. So we've got ASIC to shift from a broker focus to an aggregator focus because of the fairness of that, because I might be a specialist. And in the past, I did a bit of that as myself as a broker. So, we sort of got that maneuvered around. But from your own positions, and George, I'll start with you. Are you looking at expanding your impact on aggregators that you're not connected with at the moment? So looking to expand that. So obviously you're all a part of some aggregators. I don't want you to give away any confidential information.
100%, Pete. So we're working closely with a number of aggregators to get on their panel, and we've had lots and lots of dialogue around that, and hopefully I'll be very, very close to announcing a couple more shortly. But 100% we're looking to expand on panels.
Yeah, excellent. Because I know the language ASIC was using, which I won't go into now, is that ASIC is very keen to make sure that the aggregator gives a good, diverse, competitive capability of being a part on as broad a section as possible.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be on more panels. So we're
working on that. Excellent.
Yep.
How about you, Sharon? You guys thinking along those lines, or you're comfortable with that? You're in a very specific market. So.
Look, we are a very specific market, but and we are in a number of aggregator panels, and we're talking to some more at the moment. So just like George, we're hoping to be announcing a couple more soon that we're signing up. And absolutely, when it talks about it in the best interest duty, that adequate number on the panel, I think is a really important thing to ensure, and we're really excited to work with as many aggregators as possible, and we've got a few we're working with at the moment to sign up.
Excellent. Tanya, what's Speedy's thoughts around that?
Well, only just coming into the broker space, so that's we're at the very, very beginning of that journey. So we're very much definitely we'll be looking at approaching the aggregators and having discussions with them as soon as possible. So yes, definitely.
Yeah. Excellent. Greg, are you guys looking at expanding your aggregator reach, or you're comfortable where you're at the moment?
No, I think if I had to say that we weren't going to grow, that would be detriment to my job, Whitey. So as George and Sharon and Tanya have spoken about, I mean, Society One's been in broker for only 2 years, so we have a number of people on panel, but we certainly would like to have more. And it gives the broker just more opportunity to quote better with customers. So yeah, all on George's lead here, and just like it's all on. So as many as we can, and the important thing for me is making sure that we can service those aggregators at the same time, because maybe being on panel if you can't deliver a service. So from that perspective, it's great, but grow smart.
Excellent. Mick, what about Mortgage Easy? I mean, you guys have been working the mortgage space since day one. Where are you guys at with those thoughts?
Yeah, look, we got a slightly different position. We don't want to be on every corner, to be very honest. So not sitting on every panel of every aggregator, and there's a reason behind that. From our perspective, is we want to have a personal relationship and understand those brokers and work with them, not just to have something sitting on to be on a panel and maybe do X amount of small volume or whatever that may be. So we have a slightly different position, that making sure that aggregators, brokers are actually in alignment with what our values are, as opposed to be on every corner. And what it does is gives those brokers who have access to ourselves that ability to have a point of difference. Such our non-resident program and our self-managed super fund program, it gives those brokers that point of difference. So it just gives that difference. You don't want to be sitting on a panel and have all your resources go somewhere and just to be on a panel and they keep using the big 4 banks. So I think there's as much responsibility on the aggregators to make sure there's that diversification and make sure it's a partnership, not just to be on a panel to tick a box under bid.
Yeah. Well said, but I think bid's a good driver to make those outcomes to happen. Yeah, and again, I mean, Mortgage Easy's been around for, how long has it been going now for, Mick?
Since the 1st of April in 2001, mate, so 19 years.
19 years. So, I mean, it's not like you're newcomers to the marketplace. You've got a different footing on the ground, which is excellent. Yeah, no, it's good. I think aggregators generally, they need to be prepared that, make sure their panels are right and there are diversification needs that should be in place and are going to be more appropriately that they're in place to make sure that the brokers underneath them are able to comply with the best interest duty and have that opportunity for diversification of product. I've got a couple of specific questions. Now, Mick, you almost stole some of my questions I was going to ask you that have been sent in by people. And because you're a bad boy, I'm going to make you wait. So I'm going to go to Sharon. This one's coming hot off the press on the text. Apologies, I'm reading it off my phone. What is the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in reverse mortgages? Has there been much of an impact there from what you see?
Yeah, of course. So I think the main impact isn't to the business itself, but to our customers. So because they are seniors, they are in a high risk category. For a little while there, some of them couldn't leave the house and some of them still can't leave the house if they're in a hotspot. So I suppose it's, we've still had really strong inquiry and people needing help. Not so many holiday requests at the moment, more, you know, funds for home improvements and things like that. They can't look at their current kitchen any longer. But it's really about the impact to the business is really about making sure we can help them when they can't leave their house. So electronic documents, video conferencing, making sure legal advice can be done, you know, over a computer or a phone. It's really just making sure we can fit our business model to our customers, because you know, we need to look after them.
Yeah, exactly. And last year we went through all those pieces around elder abuse and so on like that. And I guess it becomes a lot more difficult when you're interacting or trying to interact in a digital format with people who are maybe not necessarily au fait with technology. At times we're looking at reverse mortgages and so on. Yeah, interesting. Very good, very good. I've got one for you, George, that is specifically directed to 86400. Do you believe that the digital banks will make a significant dent in the Big Four's home loan market share, and over what time frame? I kind of hope you damn well do, my friend.
Yeah, we are certainly hoping we do as well. We're targeting, we're looking at ways of doing home loans differently. So we have a digital home loan process, and being digital enables us to have a really, really quick turnaround time. So when we look at our turnaround times, our record to date is 2 hours, 47 minutes from the time it was lodged to documents issued with the customer.
Holy crap.
Yep.
Excellent.
On average, it's about 5 hours. And Greg will know this, being in the fintech space, and Mick as well, the information that we get in is vital from brokers, where we rely super heavily on broker notes. I cannot be clearer, team. Broker notes, broker notes, broker notes. And if we can get the right notes, all of the data collected in, so our assessors, which are based here in Sydney, can have a good overview of what the client's trying to achieve, and then go out for approval. So on the digital space, yeah, that enables us to get good, solid information and to make a decision really, really quickly. So yes, definitely.
And it's very interesting you say about broker notes and so on, because back on the best interest duty piece, a lot of people say, well, Whitey, how do I comply with this? You know, an ASIC's constant response is documents, documents, documents. If somebody's under the microscope for any reason, what they're going to deep dive in is on your documentation. And if you get your documentation right, not only does it give you quicker loan processing times, it also protects you in the future if somebody wants to try and push you back against the wall. Greg, and I know it's not the home loan space, but twisting that same question, but looking at in the personal loan space, are you guys wanting to give the Big Four a run for their money on personal loans?
Yeah, so when I first joined Society One, it was about competing with the banks and being better than the banks. That's where Society One started. So, you know, like we do have interest rates that are basically half the bank interest rates. That's where we start from, which is always a good place to be. However, we need to be bigger, and being in the broker space will certainly help us do that. So absolutely, like if we can, like I think George and I can work together, and maybe there's a partnership here that can come along. George, if we can work that out, maybe we can get this. The ultimate goal would be to outdo and take some of the portion of the banks, because they have a large percentage of the market only because people are just rusted on, and not for the wealth of knowledge that exists out there on the internet, but just because you're rusted to the bank, that's why they go to the bank and don't look for the best options. So, you know, absolutely, everyone needs to, you know, wants to be bigger and better, and the digital bank space is an awesome place to play. So, you know, there's certainly opportunity for, you know, Society One, for George and 86400. I mean, there's businesses out there that can certainly give a bank a run for their money, especially when it comes down to service and speed. So, and we certainly, from George's 2 hours and 47 minutes, that's awesome. You know, we do the same sort of stuff. Approvals the same day, that's normal. You know, settlement same day, that's a normal. It should always be. And when you have banks who take over a week to do the same job, it's, you know, how do you compare?
I'm going to have you guys back. I love taking the banks on. This is good stuff. Excellent, excellent. Now, Mr. Mick, I got a couple of questions for you, which you touched on slightly, so these probably have short answers to them. These are specifically directed at you, my friend. Do you offer off-the-plan SMSF? Now, I've never been in that space, so I don't quite understand the question. Hopefully, it works for you.
Yeah, you want a short answer? The answer is yes. Look, a lot of a lot of brokers have actually started to diversify over the past 2 to 3 years since the, and even extra on that after the Royal Commission, where they started to work in different areas and wanting to go away from the banks. And we saw a massive uptake in self-managed super fund lending, where the banks actually left it around the Royal Commission. We took that on, so yeah, we've been happily in that self-managed super fund space and working with a lot of brokers down that road. And it's been a very good program for us. You got some brokers who hadn't touched self-managed 3 years ago, who are now up to 30% of their volume on self-managed. What it's done for brokers, it's given them a door to open the door into accountants practices, and not just going and say, I'm a mortgage broker. They've been able to go in with a point of difference and opening that door with self-managed as the door opener, and then offering other programs off the back of it. So yeah, we've been happily in that space, Whitey.
Excellent. All right. And what about, do you credit score?
Vast majority of our business we don't. At the minute we're over 80, we're like, as a non-bank lender, we've got a mortgage insurer in the vast majority of our program, but sub 80, there's no credit scoring at all.
Okay. Do you still offer non-resident loans?
I'll answer that with Whitey. That's probably the starting point there. Yeah, we get as much business we do via SMS as we do via WeChat. So yeah, the non-resident market again has been a really good market to us. And there's another one where the banks walked away from doing SMSF. They also walked away from doing non-resident lending. We've stayed in that space. We've been in that space for nearly 15 years. And again, that's been really, really good to us.
Okay, excellent. And lucky last, looking at submitting an application to Mortgage Easy, is it one application form for all funding lines? How does using a mortgage manager work with the new legislation for bid? Well, I think that piece is easy, but the piece where it's got one application for all forms of funding lines.
Yeah, look, as George made a comment earlier, comprehensive notes at the front end of the application, and one form which fits all of our A to Z of lending options. So as long as we know the notes up the front, our credit team haven't got crystal balls, they broke a long time ago. As long as they see those notes up the front, that one form works across all of our funding.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's enough from you now, I think. No, thanks, Mick. Thanks. Hey, I guess there's a comment come through from somebody, it's more of a statement, says UK market was quick to introduce exemptions to face-to-face requirements for the delivery of advice. UK market does work under advice model. I'm going to caveat say we don't here. We work under credit assistance as described under the NCCP. I bang on about that even with ASIC. I even noticed in an ASIC media release they talk about mortgage brokers and advice in the one sentence. No, we don't give advice. But anyhow, I understand where this is coming from. And the industry body, who I know very, very well, because they're part of the International Federation that I chair, they also introduced additional elder abuse protocols. So we did the elder abuse protocols and the declaration that the ABA initially came out with almost like what we changed from we got the protocols changed. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head how it first came out, but you basically were making a declaration that a broker couldn't actually substantiate, and that got changed into a confirmation. So we've done that. And I think, how are you guys going with the face-to-face thing? And that's what I will ask you. Have you been able to adapt okay with that digitally? Can you do VOI for an application face-to-face with yourselves, Mick?
Yeah, we have. We team up with IDU for that, and it's been a great model because it does both things. It does your safe harbour, and it also does the VOI component of it. The only challenge that we have had, in all honesty, was where our non-residents who are required to go into the embassy, and we actually unfortunately had a situation the other day where a non-resident had to delay a settlement because of the outbreak again in Beijing, where they were heading in and the Australian embassy closed for a bit. So other than that, that being one exception for our people in China, it hasn't been an issue from ourselves. So we allow brokers to do that interview all the way from digitally, from the front door all the way to the back. So front door, you do your interview, and as long as you have your comprehensive notes, whether that be the video, etc., that you're using, and supported by the IDU all the way through to settlement and documentation, with the one exception, as I said, if you're overseas. Sure.
Greg, how's the Society One gone with the VOI piece?
Yeah, that's not an issue for us. Being digital is easy, so we're fine with it. We don't have a concern on how the broker goes about it. The other piece that we have that Society One does is we AML everybody, and we utilise the safe harbour rules, and we use technology to do that. So that probably, there's two pieces of this clearly, but if we can validate who the customer is, then we have comfort in knowing that the broker's done the right thing, and we've got all the appropriate documentation to prove who they are. So for me, face-to-face is not doesn't need to exist anymore as far as I'm concerned. It needs to be some type of conversation, and either what medium shouldn't matter. So today, I think we're fine. Like, the technology exists, we'll be able to utilise it all. It's just depending on the aggregators' compliance and what they would prefer, and then down to the legislation, what it actually really does.
Right. Tanya, what about Speedy? How are they going with digital VOIs and versus face-to-face?
This is Greg said, we're a fintech company. We work on a referral base with the brokers, so we don't actually require them to do the identification. We do that in-house ourselves. So we're not going to have any issues with any VOIs. It's all handled by us. But do you do it digitally, or how do you manage that without descriptive detail? Sorry, we use the post office. So the post office ID, and I believe we are going to be looking at the Zip ID or the ID Me programs as well. So digitally, no problems with that at all.
Okay, Sharon, what about at Heartlands?
Yeah, of course. And look, with seniors, you'd think they'd want to do face-to-face, but a lot of our customers want to do it digitally, want to talk to people over the phone. I mean, my grandma was on Facebook before I was. And so it's true, with electronic, with onboarding, with the AML onboarding, we do that electronically in-house using AML Safe Harbour. And if we need anything physically identified, our customers do have to get the independent legal advice, but in the current coronavirus provisions, there's some exceptions regarding that too. So everything we do is, electronic, and we can do everything digitally. We're happy to fit with the broker's business model, so we can do it either way, and that works for us and for the broker and the customer.
Okay, excellent. George, I imagine you guys are right across this, being a digital bank.
Yeah, digital bank. Yeah, you'd hope that we got the ID piece done. So we bring the ID forward, so the broker has the ability to use Max ID and either do if they are doing a face-to-face interview with the customer, they can do it face-to-face, or they can send it out for the customers to do electronic VOI. So we're electronic with ID, we're electronic with income and expense verification as well. All of our documents, except for the mortgage at this stage, is done electronically. So no, there's no paper.
Excellent. Okay, now I have a question that it'll be interesting to get your thoughts on that's come through, and it's about, in principle, HEM and living expenses. So the question is do you see all lenders, we'll treat that as a conversation here, but all lenders having a common living expense categories, so everything or everyone is on the same page? And I guess the challenge at the moment is all the different variations that come up. But do you see, assuming everyone gets past competition law, that there is a greater coming together of those thoughts around how living expenses are categorised and managed? What do you think, George?
That's a tough question. So the way we verify, we ask customers to put in their banking credentials into a secure portal where we then verify their living expenses over a period of time. So we probably have one of the most accurate snapshots of exactly what customers are spending over that period of time. And then we have we're able to see what's discretionary, non-discretionary. We go back at a position of adding back a lot of non-discretionary expenses. So we're different we do things, we go at one end and add all that back, where some lenders are relying on HEM and going up. So interesting question. I'd like to see other people's thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, Sharon, I know it's a different space for you, but any thoughts around that?
Absolutely. So I suppose a bit like George, we do things a little bit differently. Our customers don't have to make loan repayments, so we don't need to do the same assessments on expenses. So it's fairly simple for us and straightforward. We just look at the cost of rates, insurance, and making sure the customers have enough income to maintain their property, because they don't have to make loan repayments. So it's a little bit different for us. We don't use the HEM because we don't need to do that full expenditure analysis. It's more of a sense check than anything.
Yeah, very cool. What about you, Tanya? Again, you're in a business lending space, I guess, but you got any thoughts around that style of comment of living expenses?
I don't think any of the lenders are ever going to agree on what is a living expense compared to, so, you know, you've got so many variables, and you've got your income scale, which I think is ridiculous. You know, it can go by where they're living, what their postcode is. So there's so many different factors, and I don't think any of the lenders are ever going to come to one agreement on what they think a living expense is.
It is a challenge. Greg, any thoughts around that?
Yeah, so there's a few challenges. But same as George, we use bankstatements.com. We reflect over the last 6 months, so we can see the discretionary, non-discretionary type stuff. We also postcode and income orientated as well. So, you know, we utilize those methods to be somewhat fairer. It has certain challenges, and I totally agree with Tanya with the no lenders ever going to get on board with every other lender and say, let's all just make it this amount of money for this amount of people, because, and don't get me wrong, I still think though that the more you earn, the more you spend factor is somewhat true, but there's also this discretionary spend where people will spend money because they have money, not spend money because, you know, because they don't. So there needs to be a balance there, but that balance is, you know, I think every other day this conversation will look different. So, you know, it's certainly challenging, and no one's going to be on the same page in the short term.
Yeah, I know a conversation I had with ASIC when we were talking around this piece in the latter part of last year, and talking about, and everybody's saying, I'll come to you in a sec, Mick, about that discretionary spend stuff, and then making assumptions by what they see on bank statements. I said, well, look, when I travel around the country, which I haven't done since March, it's actually wonderful. I do around 220 domestic flights a year. I have done none. Oh, my mum passed away in the middle of all this crap, so I've done one, but outside I've done none. It's really good. It's not getting on a plane. I'm getting a bit jittery about thinking of doing it again. But yeah, I go off on a tangent. But talking to ASIC about this, I said, I stay when I'm in Sydney, I stay at the Star Casino. When I'm in Melbourne, or if I'm in Perth, I stay at Crown. Does that mean I've got a gambling habit? I stay there because they're trying to attract gamblers, but I don't gamble at all. They give me really good cheap rates, and I generally get an upgrade. So why wouldn't I stay there? I get good corporate rates and upgrades at the same time. But on some of the way they look at things, would I be assumed of potentially having a gambling problem because I've got bills that come out of casinos? We've got to watch all this sort of stuff, and we don't make assumptions where it doesn't play out well. Mind you, they were prepared to challenge me on the gambling habit bit. I think I sort of narrowed them in with a little core on that. Mick, I'm sure you got something to say on this subject, mate.
Yeah, look, mate, in regards to airports, firstly, I'm enjoying not going to an airport.
Same,
I popped up over 64,000 kilometres last year, and anyone who has one of those phones in their pocket that tells you where you went, etc., was 1.6 times around the world. So I'm enjoying sitting in front of a computer instead of actually jumping on the plane.
I'm with you, buddy.
I don't know if my family shares the same position, but it's my look, on living expenses, I think everyone does things differently, and I don't know that you'll ever have that one position. And you look at someone who's a first home buyer who's going to buy their first home, they're going to be in a position that they're going to be eating, they're going to be on toast and with Vegemite while they're saving their deposit and doing all of those things. They get into their house, then go from there. Their spending habits are going to be different. So I think although we've got to have some general rules in place, which is a bit of a guideline where you've got to have a base that you're working from, not dissimilar to an assessment rate that you're working from, but it's got to make sense. And as long as it's making sense, whether you're under that prescribed number or above that prescribed number, it's got to make sense and you can verify it. So whether that's someone who's an individual who's sitting at home and let's say they're a spinster in their 40s or 50s and they're still living at their family home, why should we be prescriptive about having, you must have this expense? I don't get it. And equally,
that's where broker notes or any notes of its kind are really vital to paint the picture of the entire story. You know, data will get you a certain place, but broker notes to explain the rest of the overall picture of the deal is so vital.
Totally, George. And the other extreme of that is an example where we, for our overseas borrowers, I can tell you we actually have a base that we work off, but we then actually equate it to living expenses if someone's living in Bali, as an example. I don't equate an Australian position, and I actually do two things. I actually use their local living expenses, and I use net income, because I don't put them into our horrible tax system in Australia and gross them up as well. So there's things like that, but you've got to have common sense around the back of this.
I agree, and that common sense piece that basically what you and George are talking around is critical, because I also get really narky when I speak with regulators that somehow some buffoon in there believes that people don't change their habits. And Mick, as you're talking about the first home buyer, people do change their habits. If they really want something, they will work to get it. And I can remember when I was in the banking system, you decline loan saying, well, you don't have enough deposit, but if you can save it, come back to us, then we'll revisit it. They would go away and come back 3 months later and they've saved their deposit. They say, well, yep, you did change your habits from the past and you kick it on, off we go. So we've got to balance all these things out. I take a view that's not always favoured by some, but I come back to what is the principle of the law and how does the law look at it? And the reality is you need to tell the truth. And it's not that hard. Tell the truth. It is what it is. Whether it works for you or against you, it's the truth. Whether that's above hem, below hem, well, I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. The truth wins in all cases in my books. And somehow, I think if that was the common standard, if one could have one, that would be it. It's got to be based on the truth. That gets validated by whatever means that is. But applying a standard like hem, to me, almost says that, well, I know that if they quoted hem to me, it would be wrong. And I dare say, if I said it to each of you, I'm not going to, that if I applied a hem measure to your expenses, I bet you don't tick the box onto what hem says you should be expending. You might be above it, you might be below it. So I reckon it needs to be chucked out the window. So I think there's a whole host of issues in my books, and just simply tell the truth. And, but anyhow, listen, we are out of time. I have so much enjoyed this conversation. I would love to continue on, but I am out of time. So I want to thank you all. I appreciate you giving up time to be with us this morning. I'm sure everybody watching greatly appreciates the conversation and your viewpoints. You are experts in your field, and I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing this again not too far away as well. So thanks, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure having you all on board, and appreciate your time.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Whitey.
Thanks, folks. Thank you. All righty, our alternative lenders. What a great bunch of people with such a fountain of knowledge. And this is why I am very particular who I invite on to Q&A with Whitey, because I want that depth of conversation, and these people just bring it to us. And it's going to be no different next week, because next week we've got a group of guests that are suppliers to our industry. And so we have Victoria Costa from us from Credit Fix Solutions. We're going to talk about that credit repair area. We've got Donnie joining us from Lend and their aspect of things, what they're in the business space. Michelle from AAMC. We'll talk about a bit of what's happening in the training area. And we're very honoured to have Hugh with us, the Managing Director of ALI. And we'll talk about what's happening in that insurance space with on the mortgage side. That's going to be a great conversation. Don't miss that one. Make sure you register for it. And of course, if you didn't catch all today, go have a look on our YouTube channel. Everything gets recorded and put back up on there. So make sure you do that. And as we finish off, once again, thanks to our sponsors. They're wonderful people and we appreciate their support. And after this, you're going to get an email. It'll have your CPD code on it for 1 hour and also a short survey. Please give us your feedback. It helps us to make sure we keep on focus with our conversations and that we're meeting your expectations. Anyhow, enough from me. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great one. Don't worry about best interest duty. We will have a further communication out by mid next week with more detail on it. We're going through the analysis period at the moment of that document, and we'll have that too shortly. Anyhow, all the best. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.